and welcome to another edition of Branford Voices. I'm Tracy Everson, your host, and we are continuing our talks with our public safety officers here in town. We heard from the fire department, and now we have the police department. Welcome to Police Chief Jon Mulhern.
Thanks for having us.
And Deputy Chief Jon Alves.
Thank you.
Great for you to be here, and as I said to the fire department, thank you for your service and for doing what you do every day that a lot of us probably don't even realize is happening in our town to keep us all safe.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you both, I found out, come from police families, right? Both your fathers were officers, and you're both career. So talk about how you came into policing and probably how has it changed since your fathers were police officers? Probably tremendously, right?
You want to touch that first?
Sure, I'll start. So I did grow up in a police family. My father was an East Haven police officer. He did a full career there in East Haven, and loved his career, loved being a police officer, always had a passion for it. I grew up in that police family and found a love for it as well, as we both did when you're a little kid and you see your dad come home for dinner and he's dressed in uniform. You just really have a respect for it, and we both developed a passion just through our fathers. So I went to school for it, went to college up at Western Connecticut State University, started taking police tests as everywhere, really, because especially back in the late 90s, it was a lot harder to get into this profession. So I expected it would take some time. I was hired by a small town of New Fairfield, north of Danbury, where I went to school at Western Connecticut, and did a couple of years up there, but really Branford, East Haven was all home to me. So
Right.
I decided, and I really miss the water. I'm very passionate about being on the water, and Branford had a Marine division and
Right.
the Thimble Islands, and great town. So I transferred down here and been here in Branford for the last 26 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going by quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, the change in policing, we could talk about that for a long time. But yeah, everything between policy and scrutiny on police and oversight of police. The officers have body cameras on them now.
Right.
And we
The
actually
technology, right,
had them,
has
technology,
changed.
Yeah, it did change. We had them back in 2010. And we were one of the first departments in the state to actually take on body cameras. And very progressive at that time to have them, especially without policy, a lot of established policy behind them. After we got used to them as an agency, we would never operate without them. You got used to that body camera, and it was the best thing ever, because, we're out there doing our jobs, dealing with the public on a daily basis. And, when it was called into question what we were doing, well, play the game tape. And, 99.9% of the time, it would show that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So,
Right.
But it's definitely changed a lot. It's a lot harder now. Between the law, the policies, the scrutiny, the oversight, and the public, it's changed a lot as well. We have a lot of support locally in Branford, which we're very, very happy about. Outside of Branford, you see it across the nation. The support level isn't the same, and makes the job more difficult to do. So.
Yeah. And Chief, before you became chief here, you had a career at another department.
Yeah, correct. I consider myself an outsider, but now I'm ingrained here in the community. But I came here in 2018. Very similar along the lines of John. I grew up in a police family. I'm a third-generation police officer. My grandfather was a police chief. My father was a police chief. I have two brothers that are both serving here in New Haven County in policing. So, I come from a long family of public service. My young son just got hired at a local fire department, so he'll be serving in a different capacity. So a very big family of public service. And I think, like John said, being exposed at an early age, my mother was a nurse, so I always knew that I was destined to public service. And I didn't initially see policing right away. I went to college for a bit, and then I knew my freshman year in college, like that I wanted to be a police officer. So very young, I started in the North Haven Police Department and spent almost 26 years there. A lot of similarities in the community, although Branford has the shore, which is Jon has a lot of experience. I grew up in Hamden. We had puddles. We didn't have the ocean. So I rely heavily on him for that part and many others. But as far as, coming over, a lot of the departments are the same. We all have the same challenges. But Jon hit on this, and I think it's important. One of the things that I noticed, we came in, myself and Jon took over right when COVID was hitting. So we went through COVID, and then we went through the 2020. And one of the things that we really noticed was like, hey, listen, we have a lot of support here in the community. And it's really our obligation to build that and to continue that. So, as far as what I saw from I've started until now, I agree with the deputy wholeheartedly. Our men and women right now, they are under a microscope. They do fantastic work. We're very proud of what they do here in Branford. But it's tough. It's challenging. And I've said this many a times. It's a challenging occupation. But all in all, the transparency end of the body cam, it saves the officers more than it hurts them.
Right.
So I think that's a benefit. But it has changed a little bit. So,
Right.
but, moving over here, it's been great. And it's been, what, 8 years now?
Yeah. That's fabulous. So take us through we talked about a little bit about the changing world of policing today, a lot more technology, but give us kind of a day in the life of a Branford police officer. One thing we talked about before we did this was how much of your time is spent on things that may or may not be crime fighting, right? I mean, the traditional role of a police officer is changing as well. A lot of what you do here in town, I learned, is mental health calls.
Sure. So I was surprised when I first became a police officer. I thought I would be dealing with a lot more crime than social issues. And I realized pretty quickly that, I was dealing with a lot more social issues than I was crime, and that included mental health calls for service. There's a lot of need there within our community for mental health services. I was very surprised to see like the level of, people just suffering throughout our town, from all different types of mental illness, substance abuse, all different types of substances involved, and just, having a difficult time. So basically every single day, our officers are going to mental health calls for service in the town of Branford. It's hard to say or pinpoint exactly why that is. We talk about that at times because I think the level here might be a little higher than other communities. Some of it is, the footprint that BH Gear has within town.
We have a few hotels that
Sure.
are where there are.
The hotels are drivers.
Yeah.
But truly it affects everyone across all segments of the town. So it's not just the hotels or
Right.
lower income areas. It's everywhere. I mean, you will find it on every street. So, we had to become very professional in our approach to going on those calls. And as an agency, we got very, very good at it. And we do our best to help people through those situations, to be kind, caring, empathetic, to have understanding as to what those families are going through, to provide them the best services we can. And then, over the years that developed into our social worker program, which
Right. I
very
mean,
proud
Branford
of.
was one of the first departments, wasn't it, in the state? I remember when I was on the RTM back then, I thought, this is such a great idea.
Yes.
It seems so integral to what policing, part of what you're dealing with today.
Yeah, so the the Police Accountability Act of 2020 required all police departments to do a study, conduct a study about implementing social workers into, well, not necessarily into their agencies, but maybe either implementing them into the agencies or sending our calls for service out to social services as opposed to us responding. So Chief and I, we spoke about it a lot. We did our study. We knew of a model that would work for us, and our model does work for us. And basically the approach that we took was our officers are first responders. They go to the call first. They make sure the scene is safe. They make sure everything's under control. And then we bring in our police social worker when needed. It's not on every single call because she can't be at every call, and the officers don't need her at every call for service either. But she certainly knows about every call, and we'll do follow-up. And if they have troubles and they need a professional assessment, which does happen often, they bring her in, and she's a professional in the industry, and she can make an assessment that is a higher level than most of our officers can provide. And we hopefully then follow up. She'll follow up at the hospitals. She'll get resources out for the people in need. And her role is not just mental health. I mean, she does a lot with people that are elderly, that need assistance, that can't live on their own anymore, or maybe don't have the family structure to help them. Yeah. Some hoarding cases around town, which are interesting, where people are having troubles with that, and she's become involved and provides services. So yeah, there's a lot. She does a lot. Great asset to us, and it was just a great program for us. And we always say we have the right person within our agency.
Yes.
She,
How has she helped the department, Chief? Do you see the difference since she's been on board?
Yeah, so going back to kind of how you asked myself and the deputy how we came up in law enforcement, as far as employee assistance and things like that and trauma, that's one angle, I think, of the program, and kudos to the deputy and that program. That was kind of something that I remember the day he walked in the office and said, I think we need a social worker. And, not only did we get a social worker, we got the right one. We got somebody who really can connect and has the ability to process things and get resources. But more importantly, she became part of our environment and our family and our agency. And as, chief officers, you care of your people, and you want to make sure, and policing, just like, all other emergency services, you see a lot of trauma during your career.
Right.
And when you get up into our 25, 30 plus years, you see a lot. So you can have EAP
the worst
programs.
of the worst and the best of the best, right? I mean,
exactly. And how you deal with the worst of the worst will help you as you go farther. So she's in touch with all of our officers in the department, assisting them and their families in getting referrals or getting network to where they need to get some help. Just everyday discussions, riding with the officers in the car. John hit on a point. It was kind of a model that we jumped in feet first, and then we kind of let it grow to where it is. Very successful. But I don't know if that's replicated across other agencies because she is doing an internal. So we've had a couple critical incidents and some traumatic events, and we do debriefings right away. She's part of it. She's checking up on the officer. She's talking. And I'll share a quick story where I think, the success isn't measured in numbers or how many referrals. There was a time of a very tragic case, and I walked in, and the detectives were with a family member sitting there, and Danielle was there, and they were in a circle just talking. And it was a ways after this event. But that type of compassion, I've actually had the unfortunate opportunity to be on a scene, and I remember seeing Danielle there, and it was great comfort to know that she was there to help us with the family members.
Right.
And I think she's learned from the officers, and the officers have learned from her, and that mixture really provides a great level of service. So great program. John said it's every day. We do about 400 high-level mental health calls a year.
Wow.
That spawns off about 170 referrals to Danielle for follow-ups and outreach. And as you know, locally and nationally, there's issues in our mental health system with getting care and how
Right.
many providers are there. So we're up against that also.
Yeah. But that's not to diminish at all that Branford Police, you're doing policing, right? There's been a lot of fraud. There's been, I know you're always telling people lock your cars, crimes of opportunity, people leaving stuff in their cars. What else? Drug cases, right? Unfortunately, we've
big one
had
would-
some shootings in town, and
Yeah, there's major cases. I mean, the other major driver is family violence, unfortunately. So that's the other part of our daily diet. Every single day, multiple times per day, we are at family violence calls. When some of them turn physical, some don't. Some have been absolutely horrible. And the officers are there every day. The paperwork end of family violence, that's a huge change from what when
Right.
we started our careers.
it's a recent change in Connecticut, right?
Yeah,
There's
just-
a lot more paperwork
Yes,
and
yes.
information to track these cases.
Absolutely, and it's just a lot of changes in the law have occurred just to protect families and to protect victims,
Right.
which ultimately results in just a lot more time on the officers processing these cases. So there's been a major change called a risk protection order in the state of Connecticut, and basically what that does is it's a preventative measure for someone who maybe harm to themselves or others. And, it falls within family violence, but also outside of family violence. And, it's a responsibility of the police to then put forward this affidavit for a risk protection order. So a person is ineligible to possess or purchase firearms in the
Right.
foreseeable future. So,
Right.
that's just one more element that came on top of the arrest paperwork
Right.
or came on top of everything else that we're
Yeah.
doing. And just so it's very time consuming, every day for the officers when they're going to these calls. But outside of the family violence piece, I mean, there's shopliftings that, frequently occur. Your traditional larcenies, or something gets stolen and
Right.
officers go out and investigate that. Car crashes, assaults, breach of peace, disorderly conduct. Just, a lot of different nuisance calls, a lot of different, I mean, we don't say no to anything. So,
Right. You,
know,
don't
somebody-
really have a choice.
yeah. I mean, even lower level stuff. Just
Somebody calls
takes
911,
time. Yeah,
there
we're
you
at
go.
Residential alarms, your alarm
Right.
goes off 2, 3, 4 times, sometimes multiple times in a day, we respond. 911 hangups, just a lot of things that, there's something in the road, we need a car over there, disabled vehicle, this and that. But everything just builds on time. And,
Right.
we unfortunately have, 5 officer minimum, patrol officers, 1 supervisor. That's our minimum staffing level. So as you can see just from this conversation, like 5 cops get used up very quickly.
Yes.
And we are fortunate to have 5. It was a change that we made. We went from 4 to 5 just in the last contract. And, that's great. It's extremely helpful. Just
Right.
that one officer really
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Yep.
And, we do need a little bit more than that. We know that. And,
Yeah.
we're trying to get there and trying to balance all the needs that we have. But, that's the trajectory is, just police work is driving the need for more officers, and the town's growing too. We know how the town is growing around us.
Right.
We all see it,
Yes.
There's just a lot more people coming into town, a lot more development. And each one of these places drives calls for service. So, you build something like Mariner's Way, beautiful spot,
Right.
but there's just other reasons for us to be there, and,
Yes.
and that'll drive a certain amount of
Yeah.
calls. If you put a new box store up, we're going to be there every day,
Right.
it's going to drive new, and the same thing with all these other developments, and
Right.
I just mentioned that because it's across the street from our
Right.
location here, but,
Yeah.
He wants to clarify that.
Yeah.
just to clarify that, maybe it's not,
Right.
beautiful place, right?
Yes.
So, but,
But it's
you
a
put it there,
large
you put-
number of people in a
Exactly.
small area. So of course
So
that
things
drives
happen, yeah, there's-
perhaps more calls to
Exactly.
that location
Yeah.
anyway.
But on the crime side, the good news is on our our top tier crimes, the ones that everyone, gets the headlines, the robberies, those things, those rates have been good. They've been stable. Across Connecticut, they've dropped. So we're not exempt from those things. They do occur. When they do occur, we respond. We have our investigative services, our detectives. They're fantastic. So when their bell gets rung, they're there. We do those cases. Hopefully we don't get them, but we do get them. So on that end, it is those issues you talk about, like, please lock your cars. Like, there's been a decrease in the motor vehicle thefts, but years prior, there was a lot. And we weren't immune from that. It was happening. Sometimes we'd lose 3 in a night.
I just learned recently that my neighbor up the street had his car stolen right out of his driveway.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh. And it was like a year ago that it happened. I not know this.
So, for the public to know, those are the things, change your habits, change your routines, lock your car. When you go to bed at night, make sure you're locking your doors. Make it a habit of locking your car when you do that. Most everyone has a key fob now, so you can do it from your home. And then as far as the other one we saw, which you brought up quickly, it's probably good to address, is the frauds.
Right.
Identity theft, fraudulent filings of whether it's workman's comp, a whole host of things. Those are way up in Connecticut, and we are way up for us too.
Right.
Some data breaches and hacking has resulted in that, but you'll see a shift from some of the more violent crimes or your burglaries. Now, a lot of it is in the realm of fraud, hacking, and there's a lot of money to be made.
Yes.
So if there's something I could say to the community and use this to our elderly population, I've said this before, we were all raised to be polite, to be engaging. No. You are to be rude. If people call and they're asking for your information, you are to hang up on them. You're better off having someone try to re-engage. We're not calling you about your nephew or niece that's locked up in jail.
Right.
The things don't
In
work
Mexico
that way.
or whatever.
That,
Yes.
I'm in trouble. AI is driving some very creative crimes, but please, for that population, that be skeptical and be rude and do not provide that information.
Yep.
Whether it's points for a hotel and they need your credit card and they need your social security number. If it's too good to be true, then it is a scam. And please, that's where we see a lot of it. But for most of us, if you are a victim of it, it's behind the scenes because of the dark web. Your information has gotten out there. There's really not a lot necessarily that can be done about that other than monitor your credit report. Run your credit report. It's free. Make sure you're getting that, looking to see if there's inquiries. So those are little things, but just kind of changing the way we do business every day. Do those things and it should help.
Yeah, because again, getting back to the technology, I mean, you get the spam calls on your cell phone. You get phishing emails in your email, and they want, there's a problem with your account, so we need you to log in. And then they've got your login information. So it's like constantly deleting and Xing and junk mail. Yeah, it makes a difference. Yep. So getting back to staffing, on paper, you told the police commission last fall that you are staffed at the number you'd like to be at, but that's on paper. So what does that mean?
Yeah. So, in the budget, there's 56 sworn officers in the budget, but we've never, since 2018, we've never been able to get to that number. So we're always hiring. And looking at some of the stats, I think we were always operating at or below 84% if we look at our staffing. So we average an officer out on injury. We average an officer on maternity leave. We average someone retiring. It's very hard for us to get officers in. It takes about a year. So if they are what we call recruits, where they have no police experience, they're not certified in the state of Connecticut, it takes a year. So as much as we would get some, I think even you said, hey, I've seen some newer faces.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a great Facebook page. If people don't know that they should be following Branford Police on Facebook.
Yeah.
And introducing the officers, what's happening, what you'd like people to know about.
Yeah.
It's
So
right there.
we are on paper through the personnel line that we have everyone there, but we have 2 in the academy. We have 2 that are on training. We have one out on long-term injury, and then we have a few that are getting ready to retire. So once we get there, now we're going to lose those officers. So it's been a constant cycle. I've said, I'm not sure what we want to look like when we grow up because we've never gotten to that 100%. So in 18, 19, when we were losing officers to retirements, we had to get rid of our traffic unit. That was 2 officers assigned to just do traffic. It's valuable. That's a number 1 complaint in town normally is speeding. So we had to pull back that to maintain what I call core services. Then we also, as far as our detective division, again, they're thin. They're at a number that, but when they work, they're working. There's no extra capacity there normally. We rely on having to go down into our patrol staff to augment them at times. So they need a good look. And then there's other things that we would like to do. When you're low and you're operating at less than optimal personnel levels, we're just engaging in core police services, meaning, the 300 domestics we go to, I believe it's out of 300, I believe 150 of those are violent, family violence cases. Overlay that with the mental health, overlay with the number of cars, meaning officers per call. So we talk about the changes. A mental health call, domestic, that's 2 cars and a supervisor. Your average call like that is going to run about an hour. So there's different ways to adjust staffing and measure staffing per population, per time on calls, or per crime rate. We probably should be at about 60. My intention this year is to come back, make a request for more personnel. And going in the future, we would like to see traffic come back. We'd like to see a kind of like a crime suppression unit that could address issues like prostitution, drug cases, some proactive work, which our detectives are doing. They are doing that.
Yeah.
But that's when the peak is not there and they're not working those serious cases right away. Then we're doing it. And they're multitasking. So staffing's been tough, but again, kudos to the deputy and many others. We've been in a constant cycle of hiring.
Yeah. Do you think that's just public safety in general, or do you think it's because there are so many more demands in terms of time, paperwork, all those things that, didn't really work into the, the personal one-on-one, the beat cop, right? Now it's like you're responding to something and it's already happened rather
I
than.
think in our case, honestly, it was the age of the workforce. Excuse me.
Right.
It just mainly retirements.
Yeah.
I think we did only lose 2 officers to other jobs. Both were, one was within policing, but DMV policing kind of a little bit different, and another to a federal agency. So other than that, we're not losing officers to other departments, which is something we're proud of for sure. But
And you
yeah,
said that's part
just,
of that is the contract that's
Correct.
now in place that allowed you to do some flexibility with scheduling, but also the pension plan has changed back here in
Correct.
Branford, so it kind of makes a difference, right?
Right, absolutely. And that was a major driver to us losing officers when we did change to that 401k plan. Fortunately, we got that pension back. It's been a number of years, but we still were, felt the residual effect of trying to fill those vacancies and then trying to fill retirements on top of it. And, we lost an officer to a health-related issue, which was, something very difficult for the department that we went to. It took a lot to get there. And, we're fortunate to be at full staff for the time being anyway. And we're proud of the fact that we're at full staff only because, one, it's the first time in my career that I've seen that. And 2, we knew, it just took a lot. You have to if you want to be at full staff, you have to continually test, continually interview, push officers in the backgrounds, and you just have to just keep grinding on top of everything else you have to do.
Right.
And, you vet out people, and, and then, we've had officers that got into the academy and didn't make it at that level.
Right.
Had trouble on FTO or got off FTO and said, this job isn't for me. Like, I want nothing to do with this. So we've experienced all those things as well. But we're there. And it's same thing with the dispatch. Our dispatch we turned over 40% of our dispatch. I mean, there's only 10 full-time dispatchers, but in the last year, 4 of them left us.
Yeah.
Just, a couple of retirements, a couple of for other professions. And, so we had to fill those vacancies. So, and that's a tough job. Like, they have a very, very difficult job. It's highly technical. There's a lot going on. They have to know the fire department. They have to know the police department. They have to know EMS. They have to know the town. They have to handle very, very distraught people on the other end.
Yes.
And they have a lot. It's a hard job. No one can. Takes a very special person, a multitasker that can really handle
and able to keep their cool.
Yeah, and get
under
the
stress
out correctly. Absolutely.
Yeah. But part of also, we participate with other departments, like the SWAT team. Yeah. There's a member of our department, right? At least one, who are part of the regional SWAT team. There's also a regional traffic team, kind of, and people will always, like, what are all those police officers doing on Main Street? Well, that's the consolidated, traffic stop that allows you to do that aspect of policing in a more, I guess, favorable way for you're not taking, all your police officers to do traffic.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because as staffing and demands on us grow, years ago, SWAT teams are very, very manpower intensive. In order to meet national standards and to be really a top tier functioning team, it far exceeds anything that a local PD of our size can appropriately do. So many years ago, we had the idea, we put it together, we formed legal agreements. That's a very competitive position. Very few make it that try out. It's grown into a 7-town team. They are top tier, have everything that they need. Unfortunately, they handle some tough calls.
Yeah.
But what's important about that is it's not like TV land all the time. When they do come in, they're very slow, they're methodical, and we do need them. So, sometimes I think people see a different view of that. That in turn spawned the traffic investigation team, which does our major accidents and our fatal accidents. So they do cover 7 towns. They have vehicles, they have top of the line equipment, 3D scanners, and it's like a mini crime scene team. They go out, someone's doing interviews, someone's doing the physics behind it with the evidence recovery, and that's been very successful. Unfortunately, they're very busy. Although fatals in the state have gone down, they're still very busy. So you will see them in town. And then our detectives are doing some stuff together, but then there was an idea of let's do traffic enforcement together. So we each contribute a few officers or one officer, depending on the size of the department, and they will hit high volume traffic areas that have either crime issues or accident issues or speeding, your major areas. Our West Main Street and other municipalities, they're major kind of state roadways or areas that they have large retail with some crime issues.
Right.
People see it. We've gotten different results. Some love it. Some think it's the best thing. Others have been very vocal that they disagree with it. Different communities have had different acceptance of it. But at the end of the day, it's for traffic safety. I will tell you that they use the license plate readers. It is very easy. Cars are going by. The amount of cars that are unregistered, not properly registered, or using the wrong plates, suspended license, or wanted people, significant. There's also a little correlation to some crime drops when they're in the area, because if there's 10 police cars in a close area, but
not as attractive to.
So it's a hit and run philosophy, high visibility. We're hoping it has a deterrence. It's garnered some attention up at the state. So I think we're going to stick with that, even though there is a part of the community that at times reaches out and doesn't agree with it.
Right. Yeah. but it also helps with the cost sharing, so to speak,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, Branford Fire Department even relies on East Haven to come in when they are called to like a major fire like we've had recently. So it's the regionalization, I think, that probably makes financial sense, at least, and also training wise, right? You can't have a SWAT team in Branford, let's say, it doesn't warrant it necessarily, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The numbers aren't there, and you can't. You couldn't staff it or train to that level. So we
Right.
have, I believe, 4 officers assigned, and then we have Danielle who serves on the hostage negotiation team, as well as some of our tenured detectives. So for us, you don't staff a police department for critical incidents. You don't.
Right.
But when the bell rings and you need it, we know that all our partners, they're coming, and we already know each other. We have that line of communication. We have that incident command. And on a day-to-day, they can pick the phone up, call any other agency that we work with, get cooperation. And we do. We lend services, and there's never been an issue of you owe us for this or that. It's we're in this together. And moving forward for the future, I think it's cost effective,
Right.
and it just works.
Right.
It works.
Deputy Chief Alves, you are about to get a new Marine unit, right? A new boat. Talk about what that's going to mean for the department. I mean, you've had a police boat for many years, but
Yep. Yeah,
this is
so-
really going to be kind of state of the art, right?
It is, yeah. The our police boat, which served us very well, was 24-foot Boston whaler, fiberglass hull, the Justice model that is now probably 30 years old, and it's time. It's time. It's a public safety vessel. We needed something a little more reliable. There was some ARPA funding where we were
Yes.
able to tap into to obtain that vessel, which worked out really well in terms of the timing for
The
us.
American Rescue Plan money that followed COVID,
Correct. Yep.
right?
And as Jim Finch told me, we paid for it anyway, because you pay for it at the federal level. But
Right.
either way, it was just a good opportunity for us to use some of those funds to purchase and build a brand new 27-foot safe boat, which is a walk-around cabin. It's a very similar vessel to what you'd see the Coast Guard operating.
Oh.
So it is a
So
search
it's
and rescue
year-round.
vessel.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
Yep.
year-round, has protection, has heat. We can get out, extend our seasons. I mean, I don't think we'll be in the water all winter like at this time of the year, but certainly earlier in the spring, later in the fall, and the officers will have, a level of protection in terms of the house that's on it and the capability of it. I mean, it's just a
Right.
bigger vessel. It's a better sea vessel. It's a new vessel. So we actually have 4 officers heading out to Seattle, where it's being built next week, to train on the vessel, it's done, it's completed. So they'll train on it, commission the vessel out there. They'll get to run it on Puget Sound, and it'll get shipped back when they're complete, and they give it the thumbs up. So
Wow.
yeah, we're excited to have it. You'll see it in the water in April here in town, and we'll be out in the thimbles
Yeah.
and everywhere.
That's where I
along
usually
town.
see you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've also been very busy because part of what your job is the police station project. $20 million allocated to renovate the police station. And one of the problems with our police station, a former school, right? It wasn't built as a police station. It was built as a school. Then it was renovated. Then you've got water issues under the slab, right? So
Well,
it's
yeah.
been
So
many years in the making.
yeah, and well, I will say, the chief did one project already, so he did give me this project, and I guess now towards the end of it, I see why.
You
but-
helped build the new police station in North Haven. That was your
Yeah, and I wanted the deputy to have the opportunity. He so graciously,
great learning experience, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But,
thanks, thanks,
yeah,
boss.
so no, it was a 30-year-old building. So we had identified capital projects that needed to be done, and so did prior administrations. And some monies were being put away for these projects that needed to get completed. And as we looked around, they just started adding up to more and more scope. So we decided that we'd approach the town and propose one major project, one major
Right.
bonded project, and try to touch pretty much every part of the building.
Yeah.
And we needed to for a variety of reasons.
It's
One
not
being-
something you could do piecemeal, right?
Well,
It's-
we were like, if we got to
Yeah.
interrupt operations, let's just do it one time,
Right.
And we did. And we got out of the building. As you know, we're at the fire department,
Right.
With the exception of our dispatchers who are still working at 33 Laurel Street. And it's open to the public at 33 Laurel. We didn't want to divert the public to a different location because we didn't feel like that'd be a best practice. But
Right.
so we are out of the building, and that gave our construction team free reign to get in there and do what they had to do as quickly as possible. It still took a year, but we are nearing the end of it. So we're getting there. Kudos to our dispatchers who've remained in the building on site, and they've had to deal with a real lot working through a construction project.
Right.
And there was a lot of noise. There was, it was difficult, but all the infrastructure was there, and we couldn't move the infrastructure. It wasn't worth the
Yeah.
cost implications to move the infrastructure for dispatch to another location. So they had to stay. The officers, they dealt with a lot. They were very versatile. They've helped us a lot. I mean, they're operating basically from home, like coming to work dressed, in uniform, and meeting at the fire department. Company 1 was available. So they run our roll calls out of Company 1. They get in their vehicles. They go out on the road. And our admin staff, we're all in the upstairs training room at the fire department, which, did cause a little inconvenience to the town. They had to move to other areas for town meetings. But it worked out very well for us to be up there. We're, been in cubicles for the last year, got very close with one another. There's pluses and minuses. You get a
Right.
lot more work done when you're right next to someone. But, it's been difficult and challenging, but those moves, though, in and of itself, did save us a lot of money. Which is something that I think was great. I mean, the fire department, one, it had all the infrastructure we needed. Like, it has access controls, it had security surveillance up. It's a great facility. It's new, and it had networking. Like, all the networking was plug and play, so we were able to jump on our network, plug in our computers, and we were ready to go in no
Right.
time, and rent free. We thank the fire department. They've dealt with a lot, and just having us there, and they've been great hosts. And it's worked out well, but we've been in their space, so it's been tough for them.
They'll probably give you a nice send off.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I have to thank East Haven too. So the town of Branford, we owe East Haven tremendously as well because our
Because
prisoners
the
have been
prisoners,
housed in East Haven
yes,
for a
right,
year.
yeah.
And that's a heavy lift,
Yeah.
and that, our officers would transport them there, we would process there, but they would keep them and watch them. and that's definitely a difficult thing to do. And I think they found out we're a little busier than they may have thought that we
Right.
were at times, but
Yes.
they committed and they stuck through their commitment to us. And, we definitely, and they may end up doing a building project in their town, and we may be able to return the favor at some point, and we certainly would. But in terms of the building, yeah, it's going to be state of the art. It's a major renovation. Everything was touched. I mean, and we 99.9% of that building was touched. We shouldn't have needs for a very, very long time at that building. I know it was an expensive renovation, but I still think it was a significant savings over building new. Absolutely. I know it was.
Yeah.
And, we have what we need there. So we're in good shape. We
Except
can grow
you
into the
need more
building.
personnel.
We do need some more personnel there.
Do you want to repeat that again?
I'll leave that up to you and the first selectman. Budget time's coming up, I'll stay in my lane. But yes, I look forward to seeing it. I'd love to, take our cameras on a tour and show the people of Branford, this is your tax dollars at work, and this is our police department, and what what the building looks like now
Yeah.
when it's ready.
Yep.
Yeah, just so they know, the public knows. So there is a couple more phases left in the project. So we'll be able to move back in, but then there's additional work that's going to continue. So what do you think, John? Another month or
Yeah,
two
it'll be
before we'd
a
have
few
like a
months.
grand opening type of, public tours or things like that.
Right.
But we thank the public for the support. And like John said, it wasn't a good idea to do it piecemeal. There was a lot of needs there, and they just kept growing and growing. So we often get that. How did it get so high? Well, it was kind of like we look under this and find this problem. Then we found this problem. And it was just hit it once, get it done, and then we won't need anything for long after some of the careers of the people that are here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the problems you mentioned was like the steel beams were all rotted at the bottom because of the moisture
Yeah,
getting through. I mean, that's
It was something that we learned a little as the project moved along, and we got into the walls and started taking some walls down. That there was a lot of that was one of the initial drivers for the project was the moisture that was coming through the
Right.
slab, and yeah, the steel beams were, rotted that were keeping the walls up just because of the moisture levels. We did end up with a whole new slab in that building, which we had to dig up the slab and the entire slab. So
Right.
yeah, it was a lot of work and definitely, a cost driver, but it's repaired properly now and we should be in good shape going forward. The cell blocks are all new. We needed, we had outdated cells in there from Harrison Avenue, that
Right.
PD, they were moved over. So we needed to update them to get to industry standards. Our females outgrew their locker room, so the size
Right.
of the agency,
Yeah.
they outgrew it. We had no more room left for female officers. So
Yeah.
they now have doubled the capacity for females. So that was great. Reallocated a lot of space, all new HVAC, new roof, all new mechanicals throughout the whole building. You have everything open. We're like looking at like the fire suppression system. Like, well, now's the time to do it. So,
Right.
because it was at 30 years and, so
And
you
that had
replace
actually
that
had actually rotted.
did. Yeah, that was
Oh,
running
gosh.
away as
So it was a
well.
problem we caught
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You would not want to have a fire at a police station.
No, new generator, slate work, everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the list really goes on. It could be
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll show everybody once we get the okay to go ahead with that. Before you go, let's touch on the Trust Act, right? What it spells out for you as local police when federal immigration agents come in, right? The federal ICE immigration and customs enforcement.
Yeah.
When they come in, you can work with them if they need you to, right? But it's not your job to do their job. So just explain that to people who may not know, like, kind of the role with local police and this federal force that we're seeing on our TV screens every day, unfortunately. They have a job to do. You have a job to do.
Yeah, so it's definitely a top tier topic in the United States right now. Some areas more effective than others, but I think with the Trust Act and our role, what's really important for the public to understand is that what we're seeing in the size and the scope and the attention is a lot different than what we're used to. So the Trust Act came in 2013, and properly defined as the law is the trust. And what the real reason for that is that when ICE does come in to do things, it gives us the parameters and the guardrails for what we are to do and not do. And it's all based on trust. So whether it's our building project, whether it's us dealing with the public, or us needing the assistance of people to help solve a crime, or us serve the victims, if we don't have that trust, those things don't happen. So for our population, or in Connecticut, that are undocumented immigrants, where we've developed relationship with them, where they trust us, and I'm going to use that word trust. That's through mutual respect and dealing with each other. So the name of it is appropriate, and the goal of that is just that. We want everyone in our community to know that we're here to serve. That is us. We're committed to service.
Right.
We don't care. We don't care your immigration status. If you are a victim, you are to call us. You see an officer from Branford, from the state of Connecticut, a sworn police officer in Branford, we are not interested in your immigration status. We are local law enforcement that really want to just do what we need to do for our communities. And whether it was COVID, 2020, the other protests in 2020, now this ICE, what is good for Branford? That's what we look at.
Right.
Yeah, like if we start worrying about the national scale, we keep our eye on it, but we're more what's going on in Branford. So to answer your question about the Trust Act, could we work with ICE? Yes, under certain parameters, we can work with them. If they have a judicial warrant, we can work with them. If someone has been convicted or an A and B felony, convicted of an A and B felony, we can work with them. So
That's kind of the worst of the worst
and I think
for people who may not realize,
Yes.
AB felony, that's not good.
Yeah, and the word convicted, which
Yes.
makes it kind of
Right.
so. The other part of that is as public safety and as the heads of the department, if we do have people that are committing violent crimes and or being sought for violent crimes in our town, yes, we are going to go find them and we're going to arrest them on a judicial warrant. Now, on the civil detainers, that's not our business. And right now with the Trust Act, ICE knows it. We know it. They don't call us for assistance. We haven't had a call from ICE for a police-related call for service. Right. So if they do call us, if it meets the parameters, then we will engage. They are a federal law enforcement agency. The question posed now and what we're dealing with is, that's been brought to me many times is, how are we going to interact with ICE if they come to town? They are a federal law enforcement agency. If it turned into, which I hope this never happens because I think the Branford community is stronger and more cohesive than others that we're seeing that have these issues. There should be some communication, but hopefully there's not a point where we would have to get involved with a crowd situation or things like that. I look at that as traditional law enforcement, that we have to maintain the peace and the safety of everybody in town. So I hope it doesn't hit here. If it does, I think we're prepared. I think we have good lines of communication. But let's worry about our boundaries in our town.
Right.
But the Trust Act is there, and again, it was updated a couple times. So.
Right. Yeah. And just recently in 2025, 26,
Yep.
further limiting ICE presence in courts. We
Yep.
don't have a court here
Nope.
in town. And strengthening the restriction on local police assisting with federal immigration enforcement.
Yep.
So it's there. It's kind of the black and white. This is the way that this should
Yeah.
work. So.
And I'm sure there's other communities that are dealing with, these issues. But for us, a lot of people have a lot of concern about it. But I think the bigger point for the public is please let those, your friends, your family, those you interact with, we're not interested in immigration and civil immigration issues. That's not what our role is. We have our role is to serve the community, address a lot of those social issues that we go on every single night,
Right.
protection, serve the community, and the crime issues. So they haven't called us for police assistance, to my knowledge. Now, it's probably good just to hit on a little bit. There are areas within there that we would cooperate with them in investigations.
Right. Yes.
But I can tell you when you get to that level, it's for a good reason, and it does meet those criteria. And it probably, at that level, is in the best interest of the community when we talk those violent crimes and those that are convicted of those crimes.
Right.
So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yes.
I think that's more federal, national level stuff that needs to be worked out. But on a local level, and I think Jon will agree, this town is very resilient. They are very supportive. And whether we all agree or disagree on certain issues, there seems to always be a middle ground. that we can come together and still get things done. And
Right.
you know, so hopefully it doesn't come here.
Yes. Yeah, let's hope. I think there are bigger fish to fry in other big cities in our country than our little town of Branford.
Let's look at Branford.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. Branford Police Chief Jon Mulhern, Branford Deputy Police Chief John Alves. Very good discussion.
Well, thanks for having us. And I will
Oh,
tell you,
sure.
this was our first podcast.
Oh, wow.
So,
So now that your maiden voyage, you've done a
thank you.
podcast.
Yeah.
So you can find episodes of Branford Voices on Branford Community Television website and also on YouTube. It's also shown on Channel 18 for those who still are connected via cable. And I will also post it on our Branford Voices Facebook page. And if anyone has an idea or someone you would like to bring to my attention, please post it there and we can have them on. I'm Tracy Everson. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Branford Voices.